My name is Jessie. At present, I'm a yoga teacher and I specialize in yoga for trauma. My previous life, the last 10 years, has been working in the foreign aid industry, working on development programs all over the world. I'm in Kenya because my work in the international development industry, the foreign aid industry, brought me to East Africa about 4 years ago. To South Sudan, actually. And I fell in love with this part of the world, and I wanted to come back, and I wanted to make an impact.
My name is Caroline Mangare. I work here in Kibera School for Girls as a school social worker and a school psychological counselor. At SHOFCO, they try to reach each and every girl because the community had neglected the girl child. I chose the girls personally because of the trauma they have undergone. We have done several counseling sessions, individual counseling with the girls, and we have done a group counseling together with the girls, but there was a lot of relapsing. And when Nicola and Jessie introduced the yoga, it was a good initiative for the girls because they were able to clear their anxieties, they were able to manage their stress.
My name is Sharifa Ramadan. I work in the gender department at SHOFCO, and our work at SHOFCO as a gender department is to work with the women in the community who have undergone domestic violence and some sexual violations. We reach out to Jessie and Nicola since we realized that in our department, the survivors that we deal with in our department, they have really, some of them have withdrawn from the psychosocial support that we are giving them. Like when you give a client appointment, they don't come back or they don't show up for their other appointments. So we are thinking about how the client would get help aside from us just following them up, and when we are not there, how are they going to help themselves, the clients? Because you know, when you are sexually violated, you get traumatized and you're not able to focus, you're not able to see yourself like the value, you lose value of yourself.
I did my teacher training in India, in Goa. I wanted to go back to the source of yoga as a 200-hour yoga teacher training program. So it was a 4-week, 1-month intensive, and that was 6 days a week, and really understanding the roots of yoga and what its aim is. After that, I went to California to train specifically in yoga for trauma, which was a 40-hour training. So really looking at why yoga, how does it impact trauma, and how do you lead people through a class? How do you help them self-heal through this body work? The Growing Girl Guru program came about after members of the gender team at SHOFCO reached out to my colleague Nicola and I. So the gender team reached out and said, hey, we have this group of girls that we think could really use yoga. And then we sat down with the team and said, you know, here's what yoga can do. Here's the way we might structure a program. And we went from there. Guru means, well, straight translates as dispeller of darkness or teacher. So darkness, in this case, being the trauma that these girls have experienced, right? And we want them to become capable of healing their darkness, so dispelling their own darkness, right? So that's the guru. But then also passing those tools on. So guru is also a teacher. So we're growing girls that become gurus.
There are those who come from very hostile families, and in these families, once they come, this is a day school. They come to school, we give them the warmth they need, we accept them, but they go back to the stressor. So this makes them relapse, and some of them even fall into depression. There were those who had high levels of depression, that they had gone up to hallucinations, where they could see things, they could imagine things in class, and we were unable to do this on our own as counselors. We have gone beyond the 8 session, that is ethical 8 session per case. We have gone more than 8, and the issues were still there. But I do feel since we started this yoga, there's a great improvement.
Since SHOFCO is there and is catering for their needs as per education is concerned, but now we thought of what happens with the girls through the traumatic event that they underwent. As far as they are going through the psychosocial, but sometimes you get that some of the girls are withdrawn. They don't want to open up as to what happened to them. And you know, most of the sexual violations, they affect the mental bit of someone. Most of the cases that happen to the girl are because of security issues, because as you know, the setup of Kibera, like it's so congested, and also because of poverty, most of the parents neglect their children, so they're just left in their own households. When the parents go out to fetch for a means of survival, someone is taking advantage of the children.
Yoga, for me, is a tool for healing, and it helped me heal myself during a very difficult period of my life, following my time in South Sudan, a country at war. I also had a couple of personal crises in my life, and found that after that, once I got back to the US from that time, I had to do some self-healing. And through that experience of being able to heal myself and knowing that these tools worked, I think a natural maturation of that process is wanting to then pass on those tools to others. And I thought, okay, if I want to make a difference in the world, and I do, I want to have an impact, a positive impact. These tools I know work because they've changed my life. These other programs have not changed my life. I don't see the impact. And so I naturally just started to shift and say, how can I use yoga as a healing tool, and where can I take that healing? Where do I see the need the most? And for me, that answer was East Africa, because of my experience here and what I had seen, in the region.
What I knew about yoga is that sometimes back I wanted to find a way that I could relax myself, and then I wanted to do something that is different, because the physical exercise really gets the most out of you. Then I tried yoga at home in sometimes back, that is. So I did some poses and I was like, hey, this is exciting. So when Nicola and Jessie came in, and it was exciting for me, because when I heard that they teach yoga, I was like, wow, this is a perfect idea, because I've tried it and I believe that it's going to work. In some bit of my life, I've also experienced violation. So having to engage into yoga has really helped me to be able to overcome. Like I could tell, okay, I didn't know that most of the things that with me that are affecting me, I wasn't aware. But when I came to learn yoga and the poses, and there's a pose that we were doing and I could not do it like upright. Like I felt a bend at my back. So I didn't know what was the reason behind that. I couldn't sit for long. So I realized it was because of the things that I went through, and I was so into myself, like I was so withdrawn, that made me have that posture with me. So it is giving me an opportunity, like, to bring it out and just be the person that I was.
I'd say for the first month, it was very hard to even get them to sit still. And there was also, so for example, we'd come into meditation and everyone would be wiggling around. Some girls, it was obvious that they weren't even in touch with their bodies, so they weren't aware of what their bodies were doing. So they'd be wiggling on the ground, and their eyes would be just all over the place, all over the room. So just what we call hypervigilant. Hypervigilance is one of the symptoms of trauma, and a real disconnect between the mind and the body. And so I would see that in the girls. And there was also quite a bit of physical violence in the room. So girls would hit each other. So if somebody reached over and got into someone's space or touched their arm, then the immediate response was to hit. That has since disappeared. No one hits each other anymore in this class, which is wonderful. And when they come into meditation now, I can see that they are able to relax more. They still struggle, but they can close their eyes. At first they couldn't close their eyes. Now some of them feel safe enough to close their eyes in the room. Some of them, you can tell, fully relaxed down into the mat. They're more trusting of each other. When we come into a circle, they get quiet quicker. They listen to each other, where they didn't used to listen. I'm seeing more variety in feelings. So at first when we go around and talk, we name how we feel, I get a lot of the same thing, happy, 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 okay? Because they don't really have the words, or they don't really understand the exercise. But now there's more variety, and more girls are speaking up and saying, I feel sad today. And we get to all accept that. So there's more vulnerability in the room, which means more trust.
Yeah, they have shared, and you can find them, they are outgoing now. They can speak about themselves. they can appreciate themselves, because at times they were even fearing coming closer to a social worker or coming closer to a counselor, because they will ask, how far are you doing? But now they are coming on their own, and they are expressing themselves.
Physical is easy to tell, but mental you cannot able to tell if you're mentally traumatized. This is because in Africa this has not been emulated, especially where we are in here in Kibera. This has not happened anywhere else. So it's something new that is coming up, and also people have not realized that someone can be traumatized mentally.
The emotional or mental or spiritual wounds we all carry don't get enough attention. They don't get our attention. And that's a shame, because we understand this principle that if you break your arm, you need to go have it treated. And if you don't have it treated, there will be repercussions. The same thing happens with emotional, mental, spiritual wounds. If they go unaddressed, they have symptoms. And those symptoms can often be harmful.
Before the yoga program, personally, I had a bulky of work to do with the girls, because we have 320 girls, and if they keep on elapsing, there are new cases coming up, and still have them dragging me behind. There was a lot of work for me, but since the yoga began, they have accepted themselves, and even I can link up to, can you talk to one of the girls who is in yoga, how is it helping them? But from them they can express, they are very positive, and they long to meet Jessi.
At SHOFCO, we have a separate class for the case workers and the social workers. And this is the reason behind this was that we find that as social workers and case workers, there are so many cases that we attend to that really would bring us trauma. And sometimes if you've seen a client maybe in the middle of the week and the time for debriefing has not yet arrived, so what do you do at that time? So we thought that it would be wise for us also to learn yoga, so that even if the counselor is not around to do for us debriefing, we are able to debrief by ourselves through the breathing techniques and some of the yoga poses, the light yoga poses that you can do anywhere at any time.
It aims to grow girls who are more resilient, better capable of self-regulation, which just means being able to manage their emotions, their bodies better, and help make them more resilient to life's crises. So these girls have been through a lot, and we want to give them tools to help them self-heal. So it's about empowering them with tools that they can use at any time, no matter what they're going through, whether they're at home, whether they're in a safe place or not safe place. They have resources through this program.
One is educating the girl and empowering the girl child to know this is my right, and in case of this case, I'll be able to report. Because some of the girls who are infected by this HIV and AIDS, they were not born with it. Maybe there was defilement and they kept quiet. If they were able to open up, there's some drugs that they could have been given to prevent that.
I spend my own money. It's money that I saved over time working my job in Washington, D.C. So the costs are relatively low, which is good. The major cost is my transportation in and out of from Naivasha to Nairobi and back. So I drive or take a taxi in, and it comes out of my savings. The other costs are pretty minimal. I mean, we're talking copying and printing things, materials for class, a speaker for the dancing or the singing we do, and paper, pencils, notebooks. I fund it because I think healing, offering tools for healing or offering healing to other humans is the most important work in the world. And I think this is the way you build peace in the world, and building peace is important to me. I think it starts here, and so I'm willing to spend my time and my money doing it.
My name is Belinda Kuenda. My name is Melvin Atieno. My name is Sean Gettis.
My name is Janelle Mara.
I have learned in yoga that we can do tree pose, mountain pose, bridge pose. I like to breathe in and out, to do some tree pose. I like doing tree pose.
Meditation, breath, and
the poses.
What I like about yoga is that it makes me feel flexible and also strong about myself.
I'm planning to be strong and to be confident. Yoga makes people flexible and strong.
We come to the yoga class because so that we can relax our minds.
It helps me to be strong and to be flexible.
I come to the yoga class to get energy and to be strong.
Yoga is fantastic. It helps you cool down. It makes you flexible. It helps the things that are happening in your mind. Maybe let's say you have a lot of things in your mind. It will help you think of them.
I like yoga because it helps me to relax and be happy.
I've learned from yoga how to meditate.
It makes my concentration level to be high.
I have learned that when you use your breath, you can relax your mind, and you can also, maybe when somebody has made you angry, you can first use your breath, then you go to that person and maybe you can answer him or her well.
When I'm sad, I close my eyes, and then when I open my eyes, I'm happy.
Meditation has helped me when someone wrongs me. I do meditations, and then after that, when I'm relaxed, I go and talk to that person.
I believe that yoga is a tool that can be used to make someone strong mentally, because I also believe that you can't be physically strong while you're not mentally strong.
We're trying to measure what we're doing. So we've asked the girls to, when we first started the program, they took a survey that had a series of questions about their awareness of their own emotions and how they behave when they feel certain things, and we'll be measuring that again. You know, if for example, if funders wanted to know, how do I know it's having a difference, then you'd ask one of the girls, you know, and that might be written down or a video, or maybe an opportunity to actually come in and talk to some of the girls or sit in on a class and see what goes on.
I like Teacher Jessie because she's good. She treats people equally.
I like her because she has sacrificed her time with us, staying in Kenya, to teach us yoga.
She's kind and lovely.
She's courageous. She's always smiling. Or even if she has a problem, she will always smile, and she always makes us feel at home and teach us good things.
She's kind and beautiful.
She's understanding, caring, and teaches us morals of how we should carry ourselves, like in breath meditation.
Jessie is doing an excellent job, not only with the girls but with the staffs at large, but more so with the girls. The teachers are appreciating her work. There is great improvement in the academic, in class participation, and all the same she has empowered a good number of girls.
First, I want to thank her because of the support that she's giving the girls, and also the team, the caseworkers and the social workers. It has really been helpful, and it has been really taking a toll of her, having to move from where she lives to in the slums here at Kibera. So it is tiresome and hard for her, but she keeps the spirit going. So I love her because she has the heart to come and work in the informal settlement. Organizations can emulate yoga because yoga is helpful. Yoga has everything. It works with the body, it works with the mind, and also works with the spirit.
I'll ask for all the well-wishers outside there. They can come up and help a girl child in Kibera, because the stressors are still there, the economic constraint is still there, and the living condition is still very, very poor. They are unable to meet their basic needs, and so the issues of counseling at times is very expensive for this family. But if you can empower one girl, you'll empower a lot of girls in the community.
My appeal would be from the NGOs, the companies that are out there. They could support the program, since our target is not just to reach the girls that are here training for communities, but we want to reach more girls out there so that they can help support yoga. Kindly requesting that you give your support, however little it is. It will really help someone somewhere.
It's resources, it's financial resources, or offering, maybe a space to do more of this work, or other organizations that might be interested in doing this work. So it's also connections and talking about this work and raising awareness. So support can come in many different ways. The easiest way is to donate, right? To financially contribute so that the costs are covered to run the program. And beyond that, once we can cover the costs, and if there is additional funding, then we can expand and reach more girls and reach more neighborhoods.
I'll just say thank you to Jessie, and thanks to anyone else who will be coming up to support us, and we will greatly appreciate.
The last thing that I would say is just, if we're all bought into this idea of building a more peaceful world again, and stopping cycles of violence wherever they are in our communities, our country, our neighboring countries, our world, then healing is a critical component of that. Helping people heal themselves and healing our world is fundamental. I would also love to have another yoga teacher to work with. It's challenging to manage the girls in the room sometimes because of what they've been through. The symptoms of trauma are still there. So I would love to appeal to all other yogis out there, yoga therapists, teachers that work with kids, people who work in trauma. I would love your ideas. I would love your support and encouragement.
I am strong.